Hi, and welcome back to the Britt Mayer Show. Today, I am joined with Randy Economy. He is SavingCalifornia.vote, the chairman and the spokesperson. And we are going to dive fully into this brand new Gavin Newsom recall out here in California. I know it's the burning question of the hour is what's going on with this recall? Are we actually going to get him out? And so I thought, why not just bring Randy on to talk about it, since he is the guy of the hour heading this up. So Randy, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, hey, let's just jump right into this. Saving California is a somewhat newly formed coalition. You were founded late last year, and you just announced your intent to serve Newsom. And I think you actually have, right? Have you officially served Newsom now?
Yes, we have. And I think what we've done is we're waiting for the Secretary of State to kind of move the process to the next level. And so it's pretty much out of our hands now and into the process of actually having him officially notified and having him to respond to our charges on why he is being a target for a recall.
Great. Okay, well, let's get right into what you cited as the reasons for this recall. I'd love for you to just kind of go through and bullet point what those reasons are that you cited and why now, since he terms out in 2026. So why now? Why are we doing this?
We can't afford 2 more years of Gavin Newsom as governor. We can't afford 2 more months of Gavin Newsom as governor. And I think we live in a democracy where we, the people, have the opportunity to hold one politician accountable for his actions 24 hours a day until the day that he leaves office. And that's one of the reasons why we are so disgusted with his leadership and his lack of being able to get anything accomplished. And I think these wildfires have been emblematic of his tenure, not only as governor, but as an elected official. And he's just not able to deal with even the minimal crises that we face. And so, we're taking this very serious. We know that when you have to get to a recall situation, that's the most drastic thing you can do against an elected official. So we're doing our due diligence. We're doing our work on our end. We are very confident that the Secretary of State will help move this process along in the next couple of days. We've already taken a lot of initial work with this. So the process is tedious. It's laborious, but it's so important. And we need to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And I know that's what we're doing right now on our end.
One of the questions I get right now when I announced that there was going to be this recall coming from you guys against Newsom, obviously it was a whole lot of finally, thank the Lord, let's get this guy out. But then one of the common pushbacks I got was this is going to be the 8th attempt to recall Newsom since he was elected. And you and I were just talking in the green room and you were like, that's not the case. So can you explain that to the listening audience who might think we've tried so many times, why now?
Sure. I know that Gavin Newsom likes to say, well, this is the 8th or 9th time that they're trying to get me out of office. That's not true. I believe there are 3 of the times that they actually were doing a recall. It was kicked out due to procedural errors. So this is not the 8th time that there has been a recall attempt on Governor Newsom. This is the 2nd time that there is a recall attempt of Governor Newsom. The first one was the one that was on the ballot that I served as the official recall spokesman on. And any other time you go ahead and just because you serve him does not mean that it's a real recall. And I, with all due respect for the people who have tried before, they don't have the experience and the knowledge like the team that we have right now, and the determination and the ability to get this on the ballot. We have the ability to get it on the ballot, and that's why we're doing it this time. So it's not the 8th time. I know he likes to say that as a talking point, but even if it was the 8th time, here's the situation. We can't afford 1 more month of this guy as being governor. He's a complete, utter failure, and we're tired of having to deal with his lack of leadership while California literally burns to the ground.
Hmm.
What else is
Yeah,
it going to
let me
take?
ask you. Let's go through his history just a little bit here for those who
Sure.
may be wondering how long he has been a presence in California. So in '97, he comes into his rise of fame. He becomes a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Uh,
Yes, he
2004,
was
he
he was
becomes
appointed to that job. He was hand
right.
appointed to the job by Willie Brown, former Speaker of
Yes.
the
Okay.
Assembly.
And let's talk about that for a second.
Yep.
Willie
Yep.
Brown also is a kingmaker because he
Oh
is who
yeah.
made Kamala Harris. So it's the same guy who slept around with Kamala Harris while he was married, made her his mistress, and then did her big rise to
Mhm.
fame. And so he also does that to Gavin Newsom. I don't know if they were sleeping together like he was with Kamala, but nonetheless, he still is the kingmaker of Gavin
Mhm.
Newsom. So Willie Brown actually was the mayor of San Francisco, and then you have Gavin Newsom become the mayor of San Francisco. So he was preceded by Willie Brown, who brings him into this PowerPoint in California. Then in 2011, he becomes the 49th Lieutenant Governor of California. In 2019, he becomes the 40th governor of California. And then that recall that we saw in 2021, he managed to defeat it, but there were 7.9 million that voted against the recall and 4.9 million voting for it. Those are the numbers that we have been told. So my
Sure.
question is, given his history, given the kingmaking status that we have with Willie Brown, who is always behind the scenes out here in California, do we have enough to flip those numbers now to actually get this guy who's been here for a long time in California? Can we actually get him out? And then what made the difference now?
Well, he's right now at a favorability rate of, I believe, 24%. That's his favorability rating. When we did the recall against him 3 years ago, the one that I served as the senior advisor on and the official media spokesperson, he was at 53%. So
Oh, okay. Wow.
he has crashed down to, I believe, foot fungus is probably more popular than Gavin Newsom right now here in California. And I'm
So
not saying
why that drop, Randy? Why is there that's a significant drop since 2019? We're talking 5 years. So
sure.
what I mean, at the time too, he was the poster boy for the Democrat Party. We thought that he was going to be the guy that was going to take over for Biden. That didn't happen. So
No.
what was that? What was the drop there?
The drop was Gavin Newsom himself. And I think when you have a politician like him that comes out of central casting, he needs to be a leading man. And he's far from being a leading man. He cannot handle the pressure of governing. He has a great facade. He's got a great facade. He's got a great public persona. But when it comes down to getting the job done, he's not capable of doing it. And I think that's what we've been able to see over the last couple of years. And that's why his dramatic drop in popularity has happened here in California and throughout the country. So sometimes if you're overexposed as a politician on a national level, like he has been, it comes back to grab you right in the butt back home. And I think that's what has happened in this particular case. So we recognize that. And again, our job is to hold him accountable. He's not to be able to hold us accountable. Our job is to make sure that we do the heavy lifting, do everything we need to legally do to get this on the ballot. And the minute this thing gets on the ballot, I'm going to guarantee you his days are going to be numbered. I just know that to be true this time. And I'm not saying that based upon, my naivete. I base that upon about 40 years of work as a political advisor here in California. I just worked as the senior advisor to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I know this state like the back of my hand, and I know that right now this is a politically volatile situation. And I think with these fires that have taken place in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's ignited a political firestorm on both sides, on both
Mm-hmm.
the Democratic side and the Republican side. Fire knows no boundaries when it comes to destroying people's lives. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know if you're white or black or Democrat, Republican, Green Party. They don't. It doesn't matter. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many Democrats who have lost absolutely everything in the Palisades. I mean, everything. Thousands of people, and that could have been stopped he wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared to be able to deal with this situation before it even started. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's about leadership. It's about being able to hold him accountable, and being able to go ahead and do the heavy lifting to make sure that the people have the opportunity to fire him if they want to. And I don't care if he has 18 months left on his term or 2 months left on his term. That's not the point. The point is that we have the ability to make sure that he is held accountable. And I don't care what his talking points are. I don't care how much money he ends up spending on this. Last time he spent close to, I believe, $175 million. He doesn't have that this time. The Democratic Party nationally is in shambles.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have anybody to protect him and to prop him up this time.
I think that's important. It's important information, especially coming from you. You are well aware of the heartbeat on this, and not just saying we don't want him in anymore. You're actually looking at
we're not doing this
data.
Because, we're not doing this because we don't like the guy. We're doing this because it has to be done. And legally, when you get to a situation, there's only a handful of states that actually allow the people to go ahead and hold politicians like Gavin Newsom accountable by using the recall procedure.
It should be every state, which is wild that, we're supposed to be a republic. Let me ask you this question. Sure. Does this recall open up a war chest for Gavin Newsom? I know that in the past, that's always kind of thrown out there as like, that's the reason why we shouldn't do one right now. We've only got a little bit of time left until he's termed out anyways. So does it open a war chest? How does that work? 2
years is not a little bit of time. 2 years is an eternity when it comes to governing California. So it's not a little bit of time that he has left on his term of governor. So I want to get that really straight right now. He can do a lot of damage in 2 weeks. He can do a lot of damage in 2 months. He can do a lot of damage in 20 months. He can do a lot of damage in the next 24 months. So I want to dispel that rumor right now that he's headed out the office, headed out the door, and let's just let the guy go. No, that's not the way this works. That's not the way democracy works. Democracy works because people are in charge. So it may not fit his narrative. It may not fit his plans, but oh well, that's just too bad, buddy.
So he won't then be able to amount a ton of money to pursue higher office.
Who's going to invest into him? The Democratic Party's not going to invest in him anymore. They don't even have a Democratic Party nationwide. They just elected a new chairman a couple of days ago, and the simple fact of the matter is they're bankrupt. And the Kamala Harris, who's moved back to California, she's $53 million in debt from her presidential campaign. $53 million. That has to be paid. That just doesn't. You just don't forgive a loan like that. So people are on to the Newsom-Harris cabal. They both share the same political consultants, along with Eleni Koulounakis. So they're all in this little thing, this little game together. Same consultants, same team, same fundraisers, same messaging, same results.
Same kingmaker too. Okay, let's talk through the rules then for people who this is their first time actually paying attention. And I do believe that there are a lot of people now who are actually paying attention because they have lost their feelings about Newsom and they're seeing what progressivism actually looks like played out. So for those, talk to us like we're in 5th grade. How does this work?
Well, it works real simple. We need you to go to savingcalifornia.vote, and we need to go ahead and get you engaged. We need to have you sign up with your name and address and how we can get in contact with you. Right now, we have close to 11,000 volunteers already signed up who are actively engaged in the campaign within the last 3 weeks. 11,000. Wow. That is staggering, and
That's huge.
We haven't officially even begun the campaign yet. You can make a donation to us. Obviously, this campaign is not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be overly expensive either, because democracy. You can't put a price on democracy. You really can't. And I know that he likes to say, "Oh, this is going to cost $200 million." This campaign, no, it's not even going to be close to that. But here's the situation. California is a $1 trillion business every year. $1 trillion, at least, more than that in regards to its assets and the way it does business. I think it has an operating budget of $330 billion. And you're talking about 60 or 70 million for a special election. Are you kidding me? That's pennies.
Right.
That's literally pennies on the dollar. So I'm not buying his fact that he's going to say that we're going to bankrupt the state because of this special election. That's really a worn out talking point, and I'll ram it right down his throat over and over again because there's no price for democracy. There really is no price for democracy. Look what people are doing right now all over the world in regards to fighting for their rights to be able to even vote. So no, Gavin, it's not going to fly this time. It's not going to fly this time.
So you needed 50 signatures for the initial intent to recall. That's easy. You got that. And then once that was done, the notice was sent to Newsom. He is in that period right now, the 10 days to acknowledge the notice, correct? We're closing in on that.
Yeah, the Secretary of State basically came back to us and said, well, we don't need 50 signatures. We need 350.
Oh,
because they kind of changed the rules during the last 9 months in regards to the amount of signatures that you need on the intent to recall page. So we have gone back. We have closed, I believe, 500 people that have signed the actual affidavits now, and then we're in the process of turning those in today or tomorrow back to the Secretary of State. And then as soon as they get that, they will check them, and then Governor Newsom will have 10 days, just 10 days. That's all he'll have is 10 days to respond to our actual charges, and then the campaign clock begins.
So with his response, how exactly does that work?
I believe he gets 200 words to respond to our complaint. And in that complaint, then it'll go on the official recall petition when it is available and approved by the Secretary of State. And then we will have our case and why he needs to be recalled and his response for 200 words. And then right there below is when we basically start giving your signatures and we start collecting them, and we get up to 1.3 million signatures in a 5-month period. And we hope an election, and the election will be held very, very fast as soon as that election is actually certified. It could be as less.
So that puts us into about July, right? Is when we would then see this.
It could be as early as 4th of July. And I think that'd be great. We would have our independence from this idiot. And
wow.
And I think that's what democracy is all about. And I don't mean, listen, I'm not going to name call Gavin. I know he loves doing that to me. I know he loves doing that to our team here, but I'm not going to play his game. We work for the people. The people want this done. I don't care about his campaign for president. I don't care about Kamala Harris's campaign for president. I don't care about the hundreds of millions of dollars that they want to go ahead and continue to piss away of their donors' money for his ego. And it doesn't buy him anything. He's a lousy chief executive of the 5th largest economy in the world. This is not the governor of Arkansas. This is not the governor of Montana. This guy, whoever becomes governor of California, is in charge of the 5th largest economy on the planet.
Yeah, that's a real big deal. And I think it's important. I'd love for you to just highlight as we close out what those key points are when you started this. You had to name the points. What were those points that you named against Gavin Newsom as a reason for this huge California recall that's underway now?
Fire management was the first thing. He failed miserably in regards to our fire management situation here in California. And it goes down from there. So I think that's the thing that people relate to. That's why we put that as the number one reason on why we're recalling him. It's about the fires, baby. And it's about the political firestorm. So I think that's the main thing from there. And then you can go down to crime. You can go down to a sanctuary state. He was bragging about the fact, hey, we picked up 2 million 2 million more residents here in California. Yeah, they're all illegal. They shouldn't be here in the first place. So when he can say that, hey, look how great I did. I got 2 million more people to move back to California. No, you didn't. They came in here illegally and they shouldn't be here in the first place. So I thank God for President Trump and others at all levels of government at the federal level now who are saying, gig's up, guys. The gig is up. If you want to come to the land of milk and honey, you better be here in a proper manner. We're all the son and daughters of immigrants here in California. Right. I am the grandson of a Greek immigrant who came here with $3 in his pocket and knew no English and got on a boat and took weeks for him to get through Ellis Island. So we all have our immigration story here, but
Hmm.
that's what makes our country great, and that's what makes California so dynamic and so diverse. So this imperialism of having a crappy politician continue to dictate the edicts of our lives every single day without any type of accountability, uh, we're not buying it anymore. And that's why we're doing this recall at this particular critical time. We don't
It's
want to
really
have
good.
this is a lot of damn work, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Uh, but
it
this is
is.
not like a walk
Bless
in the
you.
park. Let's figure this out. I
Yeah.
mean, I have dozens and dozens of people who are working right now nonstop for the last 5 months on this campaign. Dozens and dozens. That's all we do is make sure that this one crappy politician is being held accountable. And thank
Well,
God we have the
I'm
ability to do that.
on behalf of a lot of Californians who have been wanting this time to come. I do agree. I think that we are in a whole different era of people. You know,
Yeah.
the era of COVID was one thing out here in California, and we saw so much of the hypocrisy on full display. And that's when this initial recall was launched. Was in answer to him flaunting himself mask free. You know, it was rules for thee, but not for me. And then just their idiotic answers of holding their breath, you know, while they did photo ops without masks and just all of that. I think people started to see the hypocrisy. But now we're not only seeing the hypocrisy, but we're seeing that the damage that's caused by progressivism with allowing crime to go just unbridled, to have an open border, open land and sea border in California, all of the cost of living here that is out of control, that's pushing people out of the fact that we can't afford insurance anymore. And insurance companies are fleeing our state.
Yeah, do you know how many progressives, quote unquote, progressive members of the Democratic structure or that ideology? You know how many of them lost their homes? Do you have any clue how many of them actually have nothing now and they're homeless and they can't do a damn thing about it because they're now stuck into the Gavin Newsom system? And that so you got to remember, sometimes with fire comes blessings.
Mm.
And I know that that really sounds really sick and macabre sometimes, but with fire comes blessings sometimes. And I think what we're going to get out of this is a new governor. And I think we're having a great big awakening of why we can't sit silent anymore. And I don't
Yeah.
care, like I said, if he has 2 months left on his term or the next 20, 23 months. Enough is enough of this guy. Enough.
Enough is enough. And I think it also will send a message about any of his pursuit for higher office. If we can effectively do this in California and say California doesn't even want this guy and we're like the most progressive state and we're done with him, then I do think that would send a very clear message to the United States. Like, you don't want this guy. You know, we
You
got
don't
rid of
want
him.
this guy.
You don't
Trust
want
me.
him.
Buyer beware. Buyer
Trust us
beware.
in California. Oh, Randy, this was so it's such an important conversation and so good for people to understand what you're doing. Thank you so much for your work on this. One more time, let us know how people, where they can go to see all the bullet points of why
Sure.
you guys are doing this, and how they can support this effort, because the volunteer aspect is
Sure, it's
crucial.
huge. Like I said, we have about 11,000 new volunteers that have signed up in the last 4 weeks by just going to savingcalifornia.vote. Savingcalifornia.vote, and we use the .vote because that's the most important thing that we have here in California is our vote. So it's savingcalifornia.vote. Just go ahead and give us your name and your email, and you sign on up, and I swear we will get in contact with you within 30 seconds and drop a few dollars in the kitty, so to speak. Campaigns aren't cheap, but I think we have people on our side, and that's the most important asset that we can have. So I'm just absolutely thrilled and honored to be the chairman of this. This isn't about me, but it's about people like me who are tired of sitting on the sidelines and not having our voices heard.